Welcome to another deep dive. Today we're journeying into the really quite intricate world of homeopathic remedies. We're focusing on one specific compound, Cina Maritima.
It's a fascinating one.
Absolutely. Our guide for this exploration is William Boericke's Comprehensive Homeopathic Materia Medica, presented by MIT. It's just a foundational text, really.
A classic, yeah, full of detailed insights.
Exactly. And it's our source today for sort of cutting through the noise and really understanding Cina's unique profile.
Getting to the heart of it.
Right. Our mission is to unpack its characteristics, its main uses, and highlight those, often surprising, very specific symptoms it addresses. Think of it like a shortcut.
A shortcut to grasping this materia medica, focusing on what makes it memorable.
So let's explore how one specific internal issue, like intestinal irritation, can just ripple through a child's entire being, their mood, their sleep, everything. How does that happen? Let's dive in.
That really is the core question, isn't it? What's so fascinating here is just how specific and interconnected the symptoms are in materia medica.
And Cina Maritima, often called worm seed, it really exemplifies this. It paints such a clear, almost narrative picture of the patient.
Yeah.
Especially children.
Yeah.
Where this one underlying issue just seems to color their whole disposition.
So Boericke kicks things off by describing Cina mainly as a children's remedy, often for kids who are like big fat rosy.
Right.
Now, the text also uses the term scrofulous, which for anyone listening in that historical context, it often pointed to a tendency towards glandular issues, chronic inflammation, a specific physical type.
A constitutional tendency, yeah. And Boericke immediately links Cina to intestinal irritation, things like worms and all the complaints that go along with them.
So if you connect that,
Yeah,
you can see how this isn't just a tummy ache, is it?
not at all. That physical irritation from worms, it can show up in this huge array of symptoms way beyond the gut itself. The text gives us this core set of traits, almost like a personality sketch. Hungry, cross, ugly, and wants to be rocked.
Hungry, cross, ugly, wants to be rocked.
So,
That connection, between a physical problem and such distinct behaviors, that's what makes Cina so, noteworthy in homeopathy.
okay, and this is where it gets really interesting for me. The mind section.
Oh, yeah.
This Cina child is described as just very cross, like this deep ill humor.
Profoundly irritable. And they don't want to be touched or crossed or even carried. It wants nothing to do with you.
Right. But then, and here's the kicker, they desire many things, but then rejects everything offered.
Exactly. That contradiction. It's like they don't even know what they want. It must be incredibly frustrating for parents.
Or completely. And there's even this mention of an abnormal consciousness, as if having committed some evil deed.
Yeah.
Just imagine dealing with that specific mix.
It paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it? It shows how these, seemingly unconnected symptoms are actually grouped together in homeopathy. They form a whole portrait. The mind symptoms aren't just random quirks. They're seen as direct expressions of that deep internal discomfort, that hypersensitivity.
And Boericke also mentions pain and shocks, and skin that's sensitive to touch as key overarching things.
Yeah, running through the whole symptom picture, it hints at this heightened nervous sensitivity, probably stemming from that gut irritation.
It's incredible how it just radiates outwards. Okay, let's trace the physical stuff, starting with the head.
Okay.
Headaches. But they alternate with abdominal pain,
Right, that alternation is key.
and they're relieved by stooping. How specific is that?
Very. Then the eyes. Dilated pupils, yellow vision, seeing yellow, and even strabismus, like a crossed eye, linked back to the abdominal irritation.
Wow. And even a pulsation of superciliary muscle. That's the eyebrow muscle. Right?
Yeah, just a tiny twitch, but noted. It's striking how eye symptoms are tied straight back to the gut.
And these peculiar details really differentiate Cina, don't they? Like the nose symptom.
Oh, definitely. Constant itching. The child wants to rub it and pick at it, sometimes even bores at nose till it bleeds.
Oof. These small, unusual details are like diagnostic signposts for the homeopath.
Exactly. And the face tells its own story, too. You might see this intense, circumscribed redness of cheeks, like patches of red.
But alongside being pale, hot, with dark rings around eyes, that contrast again.
And maybe cold perspiration or a white and bluish look around the mouth suggests a disturbed circulation.
And during sleep, the child grits teeth. Another common Cina pointer. It's a very distinct look.
And that brings us right back to the digestive system, where the link to that intestinal irritation is, undeniable. It's central.
Right, so the patient gets hungry soon after a meal. Which seems weird, right?
Paradoxical hunger, yeah. And they feel a hungry, digging, gnawing sensation. There's pain in the epigastrium, often worse morning and before meals.
And vomiting and diarrhea immediately after eating or drinking.
Uh-huh. And importantly, with a clean tongue, that's a vital clue.
A clean tongue despite the gut upset. Okay. And often a distinct craving for sweets.
Classic. The abdomen itself can be bloated and hard, and the pain is often the specific twisting pain about navel.
Around the belly button. And the stool description is pretty graphic. White mucus, like small pieces of popped corn.
Yeah.
Preceded by pinching colic. Plus, itching of anus, another key symptom. And then, obviously, the potential presence of worms.
It brings us right back to that core theme, reinforcing why it's called worm seed. These details are just crucial for the whole picture.
Absolutely. And it doesn't stop at the gut, does it?
Yeah.
The urinary symptoms are specific too.
Quite specific. Urine is turbid, white, turns milky on standing, and very characteristically involuntary at night, bedwetting.
Another systemic sign of that underlying irritation. And then beyond the gut and bladder, Cina hits the respiratory system hard.
Traumatically, yes. You get this gagging cough in the morning, and it's listed for whooping cough with these violent recurring paroxysms.
The cough sounds awful, so violent it brings tears and sternal pains. Feels as if something had been torn off.
Ouch. And it's often periodic, returning spring and fall. Seasonality.
After coughing, there's that peculiar gurgling from throat to stomach.
Strange sensation.
And the child might even be afraid to speak or move because they don't want to trigger another coughing fit.
Understandable. And after the fit, they're described as moaning, anxious, gasps for air, and turns pale. It's a really distressing picture.
It really is. Which naturally raises questions about sleep. How does this affect sleep?
Oh, it impacts sleep uniquely. Boericke mentions the child gets on hands and knees in sleep, on abdomen. That's a very, very characteristic Cina sleeping position.
Hands and knees, okay.
They also suffer from night terrors, crying out, screaming, waking up terrified.
Wow.
Plus, troubles while yawning, like spasms or issues, screaming and talking in sleep, and that teeth grinding we mentioned. The internal discomfort just completely disrupts their rest.
It's like the body can't find peace.
Yeah.
And that shows up in the extremities too, right? The limbs.
Yes, a remarkable picture there too. Twitching and jerking, distortion of limbs, trembling, these sort of paralyzed shocks that make the patient jump suddenly as though in pain.
Sudden jump.
Yeah. The child might throw their arms from side to side or have nocturnal convulsions, very neurological looking symptoms.
And specific movements like sudden inward jerking of fingers of right hand, or the child stretching their feet spasmodically with the left foot in constant spasmodic motion.
It's almost like the body's involuntary language for that internal distress.
Even the fever pattern is distinct in Cina.
It really is. Light chill, but much fever associated with that clean tongue again.
There it is again.
Much hunger and colicky pains. Interestingly, chilliness with thirst. Usually, chilliness is without thirst, so that's notable.
Okay.
And cold sweat on forehead, nose, and hands. But here's a really striking, almost paradoxical detail. The face is cold and hands warm during the fever.
Face cold, hands warm. That's a very specific temperature mismatch.
Exactly. These unique markers help pinpoint the remedy.
And knowing what makes symptoms worse is also key. Boericke lists looking fixedly at an object, from worms, obviously, at night, in sun, and in summer. Those are crucial modalities for confirming Cina.
Absolutely crucial. And this brings us to comparing Cina with other remedies. Why is that important?
Yeah, the comparisons.
It's vital for effective prescribing. The text compares Cina to santonin, which is often preferable in worm affections as well. They share things like pain and shocks and those visual illusions.
Like the yellow site.
Right, where violet light not recognized, colors not distinguishable. But santonin also causes urine deep saffron color and maybe more pronounced spasms and twitchings. It's about those subtle but really significant differences.
Okay.
Boericke also mentions Helminthocordose worm moss as another remedy, acting strongly on intestinal worms, particularly roundworms, but again with its own specific nuances.
So it's about finding the precise match, not just a general worm remedy.
Exactly. Which leads to practical application. What does Boericke suggest for dosage or potency?
He suggests the third attenuation for Cina generally. Now, when he talks about attenuations like third, 30th, 200th, he's referring to the homeopathic potency. How many times it's been diluted and succussed, which homeopaths believe enhances its action.
You're right, the potency.
But for these really nervous, irritable children, he prefers the 30th and 200th. suggesting maybe a deeper action is needed.
Higher potencies for more mental nervous symptoms. Yeah.
For santonin, it's the first with care, noting caution, and third trituration. And if you need to antidote Cina's effects,
There are antidotes listed too, camphor caps, which is important practical info for practitioners.
so yeah, this really highlights that homeopathic prescribing isn't just, oh, worms, take this. It's about matching that entire unique symptom picture of the patient.
Precisely, from their mood down to the temperature of their face and hands during a fever.
What an incredibly specific, detailed picture we've just painted of Cina Maritima. It's really fascinating how all these seemingly disconnected symptoms, a child's mood swings, those weird contradictory desires, the color of their urine, the twitching, how it all comes together to form this coherent remedy profile.
Yeah.
And it all seems to trace back to that core idea of intestinal irritation.
It really does. This deep dive, I think, truly highlights the meticulous observation that went into creating these materia medica.
Yeah.
You see how every single unique detail contributes to finding that precise fit for a patient. It emphasizes the need for a really holistic view. It's not just what's wrong, but how it's wrong in that specific person.
So for you listening, this dive into Cina isn't just about, learning one specific remedy. It's more a window into that profound interconnectedness between physical stuff and emotional stuff. It shows how a detailed, almost forensic approach to just observing can lead to some surprising and really insightful understandings of health.
Which I suppose raises an interesting question for you to think about.
Yeah.
How might focusing on those seemingly small, peculiar details in other areas of your life, whether it's a complex problem you're facing, maybe a relationship, or even just learning something new, how might noticing those little things reveal a much bigger, more complete picture that you might otherwise miss?
That's a great thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning.
And keep connecting those dots.